To be fair, it was a big point though. So Maui, what is your good point?
Yeah, I'm really happy that we're getting an era established here in CS2. I really want it. I don't know if I necessarily wanted it to be Vitality, but in general, I think that it's good for the game for there to be a dominant team because first and foremost reason is that in the beginning of CS2, I'm glad that Sean has been playing it lately because at the beginning, I don't think people were in love with the mechanics, myself included. I feel like it felt very janky, the way that op flick shots felt, the way that I don't know, movement just felt kind of like you get caught on shit a lot more. Like the clipping was pretty bad. I feel like spraying in general only recently got that really good change where it just feels way smoother now than it did because of some guy on Reddit. But like the way like the fact that Vitality in an MR12 CS2 can have an era of over 30 best of threes, BO5s on that win streak is really good to just prove that there can be consistency. It might not come from the source that everybody wanted it to, where it's like perfect tactics all the time, perfect teamwork. Like there is a big emphasis on individuals calling their own numbers on that team, but sometimes that's just how it needs to be done. And they've kind of paved the way for what is the best way to play Counter-Strike in today's era. I mean, to their credit, they do also play very well on the fly off of each other, such that they're not going to just be taking bad duels. Like people don't take bad risks on Vitality almost ever, but it just is like the right amount of risk versus reward in so many of the plays that they go for. And for Vitality to be establishing this now instead of everybody last year kind of nipping at the heels of a Navi team, which kind of in some way felt like it was going to fall apart once other teams upgraded or kind of caught up to them. Now it's a Vitality team that you got to catch up to their players, which is probably the hardest part, but you also have to catch up to the fact that they're not too shabby tactically either. Like they're doing a lot of great stuff in terms of using the most meta utility. They're trying to always upgrade their playbook. They call practically like every single strat. Like they run through like the entire gamut of strats on every single map. Like if you do not know when you're going to get hit by a random quicker B hit, or you're going to have like have to play against a slow default with them. Like they do absolutely everything to an A plus level. So for Vitality to be establishing an era, I think this is really good because it's been since, in my eyes, since Astralis. I know that there's like an argument that FaZe had an era, but in my eyes, I think Astralis' era was the most clearly defined for my liking. And so to see another one that's starting to rise up here, I think it's a good point. I think it's good for Counter-Strike.
I agree. I think it's so good. I see a lot of haters like oh, it's so boring knowing what team is going to win. Okay. But I actually feel the opposite way. I feel like having a dominant team in a game, one, proves that, like you said, you can have consistency. There's not so much variance that you feel like the game is random. Like you don't want a different winner every tournament that you can't predict. That's not fun. You want the level of variance that the major kind of offers. That's why I do. This is going to be a little bit of a hot take for Duncan, but I actually like the single elim playoffs. Okay. Because it's kind of like, it feels like very NFL-y. Like you play this whole season, you end up in like a good spot in the playoffs, and there's a level of variance. There's just one game. Like you might be playing in shit weather conditions. You might be playing against a red hot team. Your quarterback might throw 4 picks that day. And I like that a lot because it gives the underdogs a chance. And it also allowed Vitality to show some insane levels of resilience. Like, I was so impressed by how they were closing out these fucking series and playoffs. That was insane. But that's all I got for that.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
First of all, Maui he forgot to promote it, didn't he? He actually did a video, and then like it's linked with an article for Skin Club about this topic, about like Vitality's had an era or whatever. And in it, he references a video I made in 2019 where when Team Liquid was like, but did they have an era, didn't they? I did a video where I sort of reviewed it. Because if people don't know, I actually coined the concept of the era in CS. Not the concept of the word era. Obviously, that existed in English and just means a period of time. But like the idea that an era is like you were the dominant team of this period and you should sort of be remembered in history. That isn't just like 2015. That's the Fnatic era. That isn't just 2018. That's the Astralis era. It's like a way of like putting a through line in the same way as you have like the great pound for pound fighter in the UFC, reigns for a few years. So I came up with that idea. But as you can imagine, I'm going to do a whole video on this. It started as a very loose idea. It was just sort of like, holy shit, Fanac's really good. And then by the time we got to Astralis, it was like, when does it get defined though as an era? Like when did I decide it was an era? And so then we started to formalise it a bit more. And as usual with everything cool you come up with, everyone else in CS just goes, actually, yeah, that's not the way that works. And they just tell you all the fucking ways it works apparently. And go, oh, yeah, it's really interesting. Oh, it's nice. Oh, tell me how it works. Oh, go ahead, tell me. So anyway, when they do all that, everyone else started coming up with all these weird arbitrary rules, right? So I will say, if you do go and watch Maui, yes, I did make a video. In 2019, that was 6 years ago, I have had a few thoughts rattling around the old fucking tin can head since then, you know. I believe it or not, I'm not
That's
actually...
like the most definitive video you made on
it. It is, though.
Yeah,
it is pretty, yeah, true. You're right. I should probably have just done an update as well after all the other eras as well. You know, like,
you got to make an update to the discussion.
So I'm going to anyway. Yeah. But anyway, it's not as strict as that. Like, a lot of that was more like comparison and contrast, you know, of like which ones are the eras, where's the cutoff if we're comparing them all. Because I was trying to use the logic that like the same criteria should apply to all the eras. That's why, for example, in that video, famously, I actually I retract the SK era, and not just because they're Brazilians and all that fucking classic Thorin banter. Actually, if you look, listen, 2 majors is awesome, but they didn't have much else aside from that. And actually, they had a load of tournaments when they were in semis and finals they didn't win. So basically, I do, spoiler, you seem to frame it in that video of like, I don't think it's an era, which is a weird take because I even said like, you could even debate, even without winning this major, it could be an era, mate, because they just never lose a series. Like, nobody can fuck with them. Like, if anything, them not losing the major, them not winning the major would have been the storyline, not anyone else winning the major. Like, you know what I mean? So to me, I think the second they won that major, they definitely had an era. I think they probably have one of the best eras, mate.
No, my take is that actually Vitality could have still had an era depending on how the second season went.
Yeah, exactly.
If they lost here. But they wouldn't. I wouldn't put a punctuation mark on them having an era if they lost this major.
No, I'm saying if they come back and they win a Cologne, or, you know, they just keep the streak going outside of the major, I think you'd still have to say it was there. You'd look at this year and the main story of Vitality and how much they dominated. And also, you can't get much more dominant than never lose a fucking series no matter what. And in fact, someone even put this stat on Reddit, you might have seen it. Sometimes teams take Vitality to overtime, Sean, and then they always win. So you just can't beat these motherfuckers. Like, they're just impossible to beat. I don't know. I think it is an era for sure. And also, you look at the stats. 100%. These are the greatest stats you've ever seen. Like, by the way, 34 best of 3, best of 5 in a row is better than NIP 87-0. Because NIP was doing it at like, for example, there are lands they did that at Pro that were like a Swedish land. You don't know any of the players there. There was a one that's in Germany where in the finals...
It's the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game.
Yeah. There was...
He's dunked it on me and Maui.
There was a final they won where they literally beat Natu and Nasu, those old 1.6 players, in a Finnish team in the final. Like, that's not like playing every BO5s. Like, right, there's the Falcons super team. There's Mouse Sports. Semi-finals beat Spirit. You know what? Team of the year last year, Navi. I take them on too. Like, this is impossible what they've done. I think that is the best streak in the history of Counter-Strike, 34 series in a row. But it hasn't even finished yet. And then even Astralis wasn't doing that, guys. They would still drop like every 2 tournaments, they'd drop a tournament and come third or something. Then they've won 7 lands in a row. And remember, they don't attend those PGLs. They just attend all the best lands where everyone else is gunning for them and they just win them all. They win them all, mate. And then also, if you want to look at I agree with you. It's not that they're the most tactical team ever. By the way, they're not even necessarily the most skilled team ever. I actually push back on anyone who says this is a super team. No, people like Messi and Flames wouldn't be in a super team. People wouldn't have picked Apex as the greatest IGL. But the fucking blend of their players together and the style, I agree with you, they cover all the bases, mate. They have the up-tempo, like, aggro rounds you'd want from, like, a phase. They have, like, some slower rounds. Mate, if it's a team, by the way, that has, like, nerves on stage, they'll definitely slow the game down and fucking punish you and play some, like, old-school CS. They also have, by the way, some fucking sick mid-round reads too. Does help when you have Rops in your team, by the way. He's like the ultimate fucking closer for that shit.
Exactly.
And super lurk where you can't possibly ever flank him. He's just impossible, isn't he? And then you look also at their players. I don't do the Astralis thing where I say they have all the 5 best players in their roles. I do think they literally have 3 of the best players in their roles. I think Zero is the best, like, sniper star. I think that fucking Rops is the best, like, lurker / anchor type close player. And I do think Apex is the best IGL for CS2. I think the CS2 style, he's just got it nailed, mate. He's got the pace right. Dude. His fragging is nuts, by the way. I don't even know how he can frag like
so
that.
Much.
It's mental. In the final, he carried
so much shit.
Yeah, he literally carried the final. It's not even a joke.
He was like blocking the yard smokes on Nuke and like controlling yards so well. Like, he was doing so much for that team. In addition to, I think he called so fucking well. He brought so much confidence to the team. He kind of does that thing where it's like us versus the world. And yeah, the players just really believe it. He's an incredible player on this team.
Yeah.
I think he's the most valuable piece on the team. And that says a lot. Like with Robson, Zawu there too. And I think that Mezzi guy really impressed me with his anchoring and shit like that. Like the whole team is insane. Like it was a fucking masterclass. Yeah. They're
and then
really
also,
fucking good.
Right, because they perma ancient, it's not even a joke. There is no weak map. Like, they don't choose to play Anubis, by the way. People make them play. They still win it anyway. Like, you can't even get them on that map, which, by the way, in theory, that map's supposed to be like rush the site simulator, and if you can hold, then you can fucking win the game. No one can beat them on it. The joke is, even all the teams that play Anubis try getting it, and they just can't get a fucking win. So you can't get a single map off them. You never can win the veto as a result, by the way. Like, good luck. So everyone even goes in. And then lastly, I'll just throw this out there. Maui nailed it. Because they have been so dominant across the board. Like, if you notice, I keep framing it this way, Maui. Everyone else doesn't for some reason. Everyone keeps going, they're the best team now. This is an era. I go, no, you're having the wrong conversation. Is this the greatest Counter-Strike team to ever play? Mate. Like, you have to actually have that convo now. You have to have forget the teams in this era. You have to have the convo. What would they do against Astralis in their peak, the Fanatics, the NIP? That's the real convo. They're shadowboxing history, mate. That's how sick this is. And so I agree. The dopest thing about them dominating, if you go, it's boring, you're an idiot. Them dominating is going to make every one of their rivals do like roster moves to get even sicker rosters. That's the reason why Falcons, by the way, it was in all those finals, can't just be like, we'll stick with this roster. It's like, I have to upgrade again. We want to be the best. Like, these guys are just fucking so out front. It's going to make every team do it. It's why this roster mania, it hasn't completed yet, but it's going to be nuts. This is why, even by the way, if you're a fan of people like Simple, mate, the best argument to get him back in the game is people need, like, to gamble that he becomes really good again. And like, suddenly they have a weapon to fight against fucking Zimu and people like that. It's actually good for the entire scene that they're dominating. I'm with you. I think it's a bagger. And by the way, for me, it's 100% an era. Absolutely. One of the best as well at that. Not even like the weakest era, mate. It's one of the best.
For narrative purposes also, like, this actually just wraps things up so nicely for Counter-Strike, because I feel like for the last four or 5 years or so, you kind of had like the online era, which obviously is not a real era, is just, it kind of threw everything out of whack, where it really it just fucked up the hierarchy of teams a lot, where all of these youngsters that were grinding like the tier 2 cups online, grinding Face It, they just kind of shot up in the rankings and unseated so many of the elite players that held domain over practically the entire scene. Like, that's why during the online era, you saw so many of the familiar faces end up retiring, like the Flushas, the Zipnixes. Like, a lot of those guys just couldn't really keep up when everybody's just playing, I don't know, like 120 hours in the past 2 weeks on Steam all the time. But now it feels like it's reaffirming that the best players in the world, there's just a gap between them now. Because for whatever reason, it's just like when it's just like that cycle of Gambit youngsters and like Heroic and like all Big Clan are all just sort of like taking blows or like trading blows of being the best team of the week. It just feels like, what's even going on here right now? Like, what's even going on with, like, why? And also the Paris Major really messed up my framing of CS2, where I was like, man, like, if like 5 underdog teams can make it this deep, like, what do we really even know about what the gap between the best teams and the tier 2 teams? Like, is the gap actually shrinking, or like what's even? It's just hard to like wrap your head around all of that. But now it really feels like the hierarchy is established. You got a lot of the best players who are establishing dominance, and then if somebody's coming into the space, for sure, like, if there's a new adopter of Counter-Strike, or even a guy that's just like hasn't watched the game for 10 years, and he comes back and it's like, okay, what's going on in the esports space? And you say, oh, right now we're kind of in the Vitality era. The best player in the world, Zywoo, is their best guy. It just makes things a lot neater. And then here are all these underdogs that are nipping at their heels right now, or like, they're taking maps off of them, but they're never taking series off. It's so much more engaging. It's so much better for the game and the growth of the game as an esport when people can just latch on to an incredibly easy to understand narrative. Even though, yeah, the hardcore viewer that you referenced earlier, Sean, that's like, oh, like, it's boring to see who wins. Like, that's the hardcore fan that doesn't actually love the game. Like, that's the hardcore fan that just wants chaos all the time. Like, they're the guy that's watching every tournament, but they don't actually really know what they want, because if they and there's such a minority, and that's been proven by the numbers so many times, that the guy that says that's like, man, I love Bad News Eagles. It's like, you're not actually giving them anything. Like, you're just tuning in for them to make one upset victory once a year. Like, you're not actually watching their games in tier 2, are you?
Yeah, and like Apex playing the fucking card like that, like just like playing the heel card.
Bro,
like,
when he did that thing against
stadium.
Mouse where he was doing the 7, because they'd also beaten them 7 times in a row then. That's fucking dope.
Dude,
That's
coming
iconic.
out from the fucking ground, flicking the crowd off, recording it, and then posting it. Like, that's fire that the best team in the world is doing that.
Yeah.
And that the crowd is like actively kind of rooting against them, and they're still fucking winning. Like, it's going to make it all the better when they lose. Like, if they lose in a final, it will be a historic moment.
Yes.
Like, it'll be amazing. And then watching how they recover after that, like, will that cause them to crumble? Like, that kind of shit really excites me. Like, how does it feel when they lose? Like, do they bounce back right away? Sure, they can bounce back in a map, but when they get bounced out of a tournament, what about 2 in a row? Like, are they done? Are they fucking cooked? And like, that's kind of stuff really excites me with these like super teams like you're talking about.
Oh, by the way, 2 things. One, I also think if anyone's ever watched MMA, it's way better when you have a dominant champion, and then you're just trying to say, oh, which contender can even take them low? And then when they finally fall, it's the ultimate story. Also, secondly, because I've got it cropped, just do this a sec, because people can't see what t-shirt you're wearing, Sean. That is the Flashpoint logo, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
Oh, I wish that was.
That's the Flashpoint logo. That's all you need to know. Listen, we were all technically on Flashpoint. Sean, not so long.
Duncan bought it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, enough about that. Never got a major, of course. I mean, there were no majors. It was online. Right.
Oh, wait, you're talking about Flashpoint.
Yeah. No, I would never mock you for not having a major.
Double shred.
I mean, in your case, making semis would have been good.
I made semis.
Yeah, it was good. Well done. Anyway. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.